So it won't be live for them.
It's going to be live right now.
Okay.
So we are live 9 seconds in.
Yep. So if I dig up my nose and get busted, um,
Just make sure you wash your hands, sir. Make sure you
ah,
wash your hands. Hey, so we are live. I want to welcome everyone here that is tuning in um, to the show here. We titled this show here, this broadcast, Realty Talk. So we have two guests that have graced our program here. We have Miss Angela Andrews Bailey.
Hey,
And Angela, you're out in
I'm in
in
Washington State. Yeah, on
Washington State,
the farthest point of the country.
up at
So
the
I'm the northwest corner, right up
all
next
the
to
way.
Canada.
Oh, right next to Canada. Oh, you
Yeah.
way up there too. How's the weather right now?
It's rainy. It's
Rainy.
rainy. I had to mow all my grass yesterday in anticipation of the next 5 days worth of rain. So Seattle's living up to its reputation this
There
week.
you go. I was about to say, I hear it's supposed to be pretty rainy up there now.
Yeah.
Okay, is that a seasonal thing, or is that kind of all year round? The rain.
It's it's supposed to be seasonal. I mean, we get a decent amount of rain in the spring and fall, but it's not as bad as what people think. If they're not from here and they're expecting just a deluge of rain every
Right.
day, they're not going to see that. It's
Gotcha.
sporadic.
Gotcha. Good to hear. Good to hear. And we also have Mr. Marvin Caps,
hey,
sir. And you are out of where? Remind the
I am
folks.
on the East Coast. I'm representing the East Coast. Angela's on the West Coast. I'm out of Philadelphia, PA.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay. So as people start to come in, and as the questions start to come in, I'll post them. You guys will see them across the screen, across the bottom there, or I may just wait to ask them outright.
Yeah,
So
that'd be good.
that way we can try to reach out to as many questions that people may have out there, and it may be something way off the wall because I understand that a lot of folks just are nervous about real estate. They're unsure about real estate, how to start, how to
Yeah.
begin, what happens all behind the scenes, and everything. So we're going to try to touch on a lot of those things today in today's show. So uh, this show here is a little relaxed. It's loose, pretty much. It's not very stringent, and you got to speak proper and that sort of thing. You want to represent you want to represent your company, of course, but that's another part of this is being able to have you guys promote your business, and but in a relaxed environment. So that's what this is here.
Yeah.
Because I tend to think that people tend to respond to those who are comfortable, respond to those who can speak from the heart, speak truth, and that way they feel more comfortable. They feel more attached, have an attachment to that type of vibe. So we're gonna go ahead and get started.
Okay.
All right. Let's talk about one of the hot topics being market condition.
Oh,
Now,
starting off
granted,
slow.
you guys are on separate coasts. You guys are, and I'm pretty sure that. Well, I won't say I'm pretty sure. You guys explain that, but it's kind of different and the same as far as market conditions. If you guys want to each kind of take a swing at it as far as give an explanation or a description as to what you're experiencing in your prospective markets.
Okay. Did you want
Angela, you
to?
want to go first? Ladies
Oh,
first.
sure, sure. Well, here we're sort of coming off of that high of the last 3, 4, 5 years, and the drive up of prices. So the market is kind of scared right now. We have a lot of sellers who they want to sell, but they're scared to sell right now. They're scared to list their houses for sale because they're worried that buyers' expectations are lower. Um, a lot of people, like I do a lot of cold calling, and I've talked to different people, and they say, we're happy to sell, but not right now because they also don't want to face those high interest rates. So they're looking at potentially now 6, so it has gone down. It was, I think when I was calling people, it was still 7% around most of the country, and they didn't want to pay that. They had locked in like 2.3, 3.5 So they don't want to face those interest rates. And buyers, they it's like they're going to get half of what they could get just a year ago. And or they'll have to pay double per month for a monthly mortgage payment. So that's what the market is looking like right here. It's scary. People
Okay.
are scared.
Yeah,
People are
that's
scared. Okay.
yeah, very well said. Yeah, I was at an open house today, Angela, and
Oh yeah.
they had a lender on site, and that's always like great. One of the mistakes
Wow.
that realtors, real estate agents, real estate brokers, one of the mistakes that they make is for whatever reason, they want to contact or speak to the lender once the person gets a pre-approval or to verify that you're pre-approved, rather than get market conditions and insights on as things are unfolding. And a good example is
Right.
I literally left the open house an hour ago, made it here on time, and the rate that they are quoting with a person
Uh-huh.
with good credit is 6.125. And
Yeah.
you see on TV, some of these seven, some people are saying 6.6, but one of the better rates that I heard today was
Yeah.
6.125. So rates have been inching down slowly. People hear the Fed on TV, on CNBC, Fox Business News, Bloomberg, Yahoo Finance, all those channels that we all watch daily. That, hey, we see the rates are going up, the Feds are raising the rates. That doesn't necessarily mean that the interest rates are going up. It's just that the
Mhm.
Fed
Right.
has raised the rate that they choose to charge the banks. So
Right.
that's what we got going on.
So, are you finding that um, buyers or potential buyers are kind of holding out as of right now to kind of see what the Feds are going to end up doing ultimately? And is that a good thing to do? Is to wait? I mean, from your personal perspectives.
Right. And I should have done something before we got to talking, because we're all of us on this podcast, we all have a great rapport with each other. But for the people who don't know us, like Kevin pointed out, mine is labeled Marvin Caps Realty Inc. I'm the broker of Marvin Caps Realty. I have a real estate brokerage here in the state of Pennsylvania, city of Philadelphia. And I'm a licensed broker, real estate broker in the state of New York, New Jersey, Delaware, Georgia, Maryland, of course, I just said PA, and I'm also an associate broker. That means I'm not the boss there, but I'm also a real estate broker at Beachfront Realty. And I've been there since 2006. I've been in real estate since 1995. I always like to joke and say I had hair. Back then, I had my waves. Dad still got his. I don't know how. But I'm dealing in this low stress industry, and I'm joking. Hey, here I am. So that's a little bit about me. I have about 20,
That's awesome.
24, 25 agents that work for me. And the reason you hear me say that number is some, they jump and go from this real estate company to that real estate company. And
Right.
that's the normal progression for people that
Mhm.
don't. And we encourage that. We want you to see you grow and be better and bigger and yada yada.
Allows them to be more rounded, I believe, also to get a
Yes,
different way of teaching, a different outlook, and get their own outlook and kind of mesh everything together as far as their
correct.
experiencing. And Angela, how about yourself?
Yeah. So I am a realtor here in Washington State. I started in 2011, so 12 years ago. But I started in Chicago. Um,
Nice.
so that I started during the last crash.
Okay.
So there were a lot of people who I remember there being a broker. So he wasn't a real estate broker, but just like a stockbroker who lived in the apartment next to us. And we had somewhat thin walls in the apartment that we were living in at the time. And it was the day of the market crash. And he was fielding all kinds of calls and everything. And soon thereafter, I got into real estate, and all of the brokers were jumping out. All the people who'd been doing it for 20 years were freaked out. They were going to have to learn how to do short sales and foreclosures. And a lot of them hadn't had to do that. They had an easy market, kind of like brokers have had for the past 2 or 3 years.
Right.
And I got in when I already didn't know anything. And so everything was new to me. So everything was a little bit scary. And, uh, and so that's when I started in Chicago. And it was a different Chicago, Illinois is a very different market than Washington State. Um, it's a densely populated area in Chicago, and you can walk from your apartment to any other part of the city. Doesn't matter how far you are out from that part of the city. So the far west side, you could walk there if you had the energy to. Here, I'm not in Seattle proper. I'm south of Seattle where I live, and you can't really walk if you're not right there on the hill in Seattle. You can't really walk to anything. You can walk to just that little area. And when I started, that's what I did. I walked the streets, gave out business cards, this sort of thing to everybody I saw. And that's how I started my business there. And but you can't do that here. So if you want to go anywhere, go. Just at the point when my business was hitting, you usually say business failed in the first 3 years, where they don't turn a profit. Just when my business was hitting, I was starting to get repeat clients. We moved here. So now,
I'm sorry, Angela. You're kind of breaking up there a little bit. It kind of sounding a little underwater a little bit. How about myself?
Okay. No, you sound good. You sound fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Say a little something. Just I can hear
test 1 2 3. Test.
Yeah, you sound like you're underwater there for a period of time.
How about now?
Still, it's like I heard a ding, and then it started.
Okay, I heard that, and then the view on my screen a little bit.
Okay.
Now, if I hit leave, would I come back in? Or that?
Sure. Yeah. If you want to try to come back in, yeah, you just use the same link and come back in.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to get Angela back. She was having some audio issues right there, but she has these guys. Both of these brokers have very, very good information. So we want to make sure we get this information out to you. So Angela's she dipped out and she's going to try to reconnect. And
I guess tag them in.
Yeah, tag you it.
So check it out. While she was talking, I had like a little Eagles Super Bowl party over here. And one of the balloons just deflated as we were talking and magically made its way over to the ceiling fan and wrapped itself around.
Oh, man.
Come on. Man.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I still didn't take the stuff down. I'm still feeling some kind of way. I can't even take it down. I got an Eagles jersey sitting around, a blanket. I can't.
Hey, take it down for what? We're going to be right back next year.
That's right.
That's right. All right, so we do have a question. And I'm going to give Angela a chance to answer as well when she comes back. But if you want to go ahead and give us a crack on the answer for this, can you see it there on the screen?
Okay. Hey, how you doing, Tanya? Will things get better in the market soon, or is it hard to say? Well, that's an easy question to answer, and it's also a hard one, and here's why. It depends. It depends on where you are and what's occurring where you are. Now, physically, right now, I'm in Philadelphia. I mentioned a bunch of different licenses and states where I'm licensed at. I'm obligated to do that, just like for Angela. And that's why we have her on here as well, because she's representing the West Coast. Mm-hmm. And what I have been seeing, and I'll take these a few at a time. Hey, she's back.
How's your audio, Angela?
I don't know. You tell me. How is it?
Yep, you're crystal clear now. Crystal clear.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So when you clicked away and reset your settings, we got a pop-up question.
You got a question.
Yeah, it says, hey, will things get better in the market soon, or is it hard to say? And I was just about to comment that it depends on where you are. And this is what I have been seeing. I'll state. The state of Delaware, the state of New Jersey. At the price points of like $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, I'm seeing properties are still having multiple offers now, not months ago. Now I am still seeing that for properties that are properly priced. They're not too high. If they're too low, you're going to get a bunch of offers, but that are price based off of what the previous home that was a like or comparable property, we're still seeing this rush of people that need housing. And then there are markets in those same states based off of the pricing and the condition of the property where they're sitting. And we're seeing price reductions. We're seeing some price reductions of 10, 20%. And we're seeing them slowly get reduced because some of the sellers, understandably so, you want this much for your house because that's what your neighbor's house sold 4 months ago. And you don't want to lower your price and miss out on money because that comes directly out of the seller's proceeds at settlement. So they're holding off. They're telling us, their real estate representatives, don't lower the price yet. Let's just wait and see what happens. And that's what I have been seeing on that level. And then there's the other spectrum. I've been seeing a lot of commercial properties because we're talking about real estate. There have been a lot of vacant, not released, not leased, not filled up commercial spaces. Some big name heavy hitters, Starbucks, T-Mobile, some mom and pop restaurants that were staples in the community are gone. And no one's moving into that empty space that's a prime space. So I am seeing that in the market. And when the question's asked, hey, do I see things getting better or worse, or is it too hard to? The thing about, and I'll say America, is it depends on what happens. Right now, we're seeing what I like to call, and you'll hear it here first, I like to call it a buyer boycott. The buyers want a house. Some buyers need a house, but they're refusing. I see my hands are folded. They're refusing to go through with the purchase because they don't want to pay 7% on an interest rate, 6%. Like, that's too high. I want a 2 or 3% interest rate on one hand. On the other hand, Uncle Sam, the federal government, the banks, whoever you want to call them or label them as, they are not lowering the rates back down to that number. As a matter of fact, some rates have creeped up over the last 12 months. And you've seen a little bit of a lowering of the rates, but still, that is not low enough for a lot of the buyers to take the plunge and say, hey, I'm going to buy this house. So if the buyer's not buying and the seller's not lowering their house to sell it to that buyer, the market's not moving. And that's very, very frustrating because a lot of people who rent properties, which is another segment we'll get into today, they want to get out of their apartment lease because their lease is up. And guess what? The landlords have a ton of people that want your apartment. They want in this place that you hate so much because they have nowhere else to go. And guess what? They want to pay more than you're paying. And if you want to leave, goodbye, because I need a spot for me and my family, so to speak. So the rents are going up. So you're either going to pay for a more expensive home at a higher interest rate than you would have liked to, or you're going to pay a higher rent to stay in the same place that you don't want to be in from a landlord or property that has whatever condition that you don't like. But really, you probably just don't want to be there. You got to go. So that's what I'm seeing on the East Coast. And that's for Florida, Georgia, New York, all the places that had their shutdown. We all did.
Yep.
Things open back up. That is what I am seeing.
Gotcha. And how about you, Angela, in your market? What are you seeing as far as being able to answer this question here? How would you answer this question?
I can hear you, Kev.
I can't hear her.
I can't hear her either.
Yeah.
Angela, can you hear us?
Yeah. We can't hear you. Yeah, for some reason we can't hear you.
What we could do is, if it's all right with you, Kev,
Yeah.
we can expand on the rental comment.
Sure.
But I think she's going to pop right back in. If you mute yourself and then unmute yourself, see if that works.
Yeah, see if that works. Mute and unmute.
Nope.
Yeah,
Maybe if you can you unplug your headphones and try and talk through the speakers and mic through the laptop?
Let's try that. See how it sounds. No, I still don't hear anything.
Nope. Well, that's why that proves we're live and we're regular humans,
Yeah, exactly.
not AI.
There you
Thank
go.
goodness.
So we definitely want to give Angela an opportunity to answer this question because we want to know, get a better understanding across the country how things are going. Now, you touched on the rental market, and you touched on how Angela, when you think you got it, go ahead and just chime in so we can see how your audio is if you got it. But if not, we'll keep going until Angela's able to get her audio fixed. But
Sure.
with the market being as hot as it was, okay, now you'll have that situation where people are getting twice what their house is worth. Ridiculous cost. The prices, people just buying it. It's like they trying to just, I got to buy everything kind of
Yes.
mentality. Now they bought it. Now they're going to run into a tax problem, the property tax problem.
Ooh. Oh, Kev, my man, it's as if you're a licensed real estate professional.
hold on, Mar. I'll see if I can get Angela.
Okay.
See if I can get Angela because I know this is going to be a hot.
Yeah,
button.
we need that West Coast input. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely with that West Coast input. And I still can't hear her. Let's see. I'm gonna try to unmute and mute her. All right, unmute. She's gonna try to come back. She's going to try to come back. So we'll give Angela an opportunity to come back in because we want to get her perspective as well. So what I was saying, Marv, is with that, people were seeing how much folks were getting, especially here in my area. People were seeing
What area
how
are
much.
you in, Kev?
I'm in Texas, brother. I'm in Texas.
What city? Because Texas is a country, if you don't mind me saying that. I drove through. There was a 12-hour drive straight.
Yeah. So the next biggest city to where I live is going to be Frisco, Texas.
Okay. Give me a bigger city near Frisco.
Dallas, Irving.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. So Dallas and Irving will be the next bigger cities in close by to us. So anyway, so you will have people seeing these outrageous prices for people selling their house. It's like, okay, yeah, I want to jump on board. These houses are selling for astronomical amounts. I want in, right? I want in. So now, from my perspective, they're only looking at what they can get for their house. I can get almost twice what my house is worth. I want in. Let's sell this thing, right? But they're not thinking 2 and 3 steps ahead because once I sell it, where am I going to go?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where am I going to go? Because everything else is being sold for a lot of money as well.
Yes.
Then people will say, okay, well, maybe I'll just go ahead and rent, sell my property, and then I'll just rent. Then in many cases, they may be paying as much in rent as they're doing as they're paying in a mortgage.
If not more. Yes,
Maybe
sir.
not more. Exactly, if not more. So they're in a holding pattern of what do I do? Because we had the same conversation, my wife and I. What do we do?
Sure, I'll answer.
We came to the conclusion we're going to sit still.
That is the answer for a lot of people. Because here's the thing. I like to call a lot of people, and I always use real world examples. When you hear me talking, it's happened to me, a family member, a client, a friend, but these are real world examples. I sold a person a house, VA loan, 100% finance, and everyone knows that big secret. They got this property at 2.75% or something like that. The house was like $200 and something thousand, brand new. Their mortgage payment is like 12 or $1,300 a month for a brand new home. Like people, you look at my background, this is all new stuff in here. Brand new home. Nothing's breaking for quite some time. They were like, you know what? Me and my wife, we're going to move. We're going to move over to this area because our house is worth so much more now. I said, as nice as I can say it, I don't think you're going anywhere.
Right.
Because for you to sell your house, you're going to get an offer and someone's going to buy your house the same day because you're in a desirable, farmland, wide open area. It's a new home.
Mm-hmm.
But where you want to go, most people want the same or bigger, better, or more accessible, not so
Right.
far off the beaten path, if you will. And that's going to cost you more because you bought your home pre-COVID, pre-corona, before the shutdown.
Right.
And it's a good guess to say everything went up, at least like 20%. So if your house was 200,000, your house is now 250. If your house was or almost $300, so just add another almost double your house or cut it in half.
Mm-hmm.
Like if your house is 300, you could probably sell it for like 420 or 450. It's like the markup is crazy within a short time frame. Now, when you go to sell and go somewhere else, you have to pay that difference. So most people think I'll take the money from my house that I'm selling and I'll apply it towards the new house. Yes, you will. But your new house is going to carry an interest rate, as we just mentioned, at 6.125%. And I will put that into a plain old basic numerical format. 6% interest, rounding off, 3% interest. I have a property that I was building under construction. And when I finished the property, my mortgage would be $3,000 a month. I'll rent the property out and I'll make a profit. Remember, $3,000 a month, my mortgage. With the new interest rates, my mortgage is now going to be $6,000 a month. So I went from a $3,000 a month mortgage for the same house, and it bumped up to, just a few years later, to $6,000. That has completely wiped away my rental profit. So the goal is either A, sell the house and let the next person come along and do it, or I have to raise the rents to cover my mortgage debt that's going to come with that property. And most renters would say, oh, the rent's too high. Why are you charging so much money? It's too high. Because I have to. If I don't raise the rent, I won't be able to afford the mortgage payment.
Right.
That is the bottom line behind a lot of the rental increases. On top of, it's a desirability for people to go, like you just mentioned, the person selling their house, they need somewhere to go. You know what? I'm gonna wait it out. You know what? I'll just rent. And you have a nice chunk of change in the bank. A lot of people are walking away with $150,000 to $200,000 from selling their house.
Wow.
After paying everybody off.
Wow.
So to pay $2,000 a month rent, $2,500 a month rent, and you got $200,000 in the bank, that don't seem so bad. But remember, you were only paying $1,200 a month in your mortgage. Sell your house, you get the money in the bank. Now you got this $2,500 a month rental withdrawn off of your $200,000 savings. A year goes real fast. You wiped out $30,000 out of your account. On top of, magically, I noticed when people move, all of a sudden the furniture isn't as good as they thought. So they need
right.
I knew this. My clothes.
Right.
This is a new sweater. I need a new one.
Yeah.
And your account starts to do this. And then the anxiety builds in. And for most buyers, it becomes, hey, what's going on with the market? What's up with the rates? Why don't they lower the rates? And it just gets out of control. So definitely look before you leap. Talk to a real estate professional, talk to a lender and say, hey, what's going on? What's my cost going to be to sell? And what's my payments going to be if I decide to buy?
And that's important.
Yes.
All of it's important. But the point when you made speaking to a professional, because there are a lot of folks that are listening to their mom, their dad, their aunts, their uncles, sisters, or cousins who are not in the real estate field and don't have the correct information, up-to-date information about what's going on in the market.
Correct.
So you want to make sure that you're speaking with the professional all the way around, mortgage professional, real estate professional, everybody. So whereas if you want to just say, I'm taking my mom's advice, she knows nothing about real estate. She just knows the house looks nice. It's got a white picket fence. It's got flowers, blah, blah, blah. Buy it. It's more to buying a house, obviously. And a lot of people don't have the initial perspective to say it's more to this. You got foundation, you got a roof, you got all these other things that can be wrong with that property.
Sir, yes, sir.
But on the outside, it looks perfect. So it's definitely a plus to be able to speak to a professional. And I'll put Marvin's information back across the screen here, as well as and I'll put Angela's as well. That way, if you have any questions, those who are watching this today, tomorrow, next week, next month, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to them and find out what moves you should make,
Mm-hmm.
which direction you should go.
Yeah, I always tell people text me because if you email me or try and call, you're going to get lost in that queue of.
Gotcha.
I mean, just look at the states that I'm licensed in. Look at us on a live feed, YouTube, Instagram. Like I am bombarded with stuff, and most people think like, "Hey, he's a real estate broker. He's sitting in the office staring at his phone." Nah, I wish. That's why we're having this on Saturday.
waiting for my call, right? What's
Yeah.
what's a good number for them to text you at?
The cell, the 561-568 on a group chat, and I'll repost that again.
Yeah.
561-568-7465. That's the direct cell. And until it gets too out of hand, I'll keep it with me. Because if you don't recall our last Zoom call or our last StreamYard, we grew up without cell phones. So I have no problem putting this phone down and not even looking at it.
Exactly. And going about your life.
Yep.
And we have Angela back.
Hey.
Let's see if
Oh.
How you doing, Angela?
Hey,
yes,
I'm back.
Hey.
We
But
can
can you hear me?
you.
You can?
Yes, ma'am. You sound
Yes.
crystal clear. Yes.
Okay, I'm on my computer now, so maybe that'll make a difference.
Yep.
Yes, it sounds good.
Okay, good.
So we're gonna have a step back so you can get a chance to answer the
Yes.
question that was posted.
Okay.
Let's see if I can get to it here.
I'm also
That way
trying
you
to
can
figure out a way to turn my
that way you
volume
can.
up a little bit so I can hear you a little better. Oh wait, maybe it's this thing.
All right, there's the question.
Oh, there we go. Will things get better in the market soon, or is it hard to say? Okay, so I have to agree with Marvin on this one. It really depends on where you're at. It depends on what happens in not only really the national market, but the global market. So because the inflation is throughout the world.
Mhm.
And that's what the Fed is trying to stop, all this inflation. And while every time I hear that they hiked up the Fed funds rate, I'm wanting to pull my hair out a little bit. I realize that it's necessary, right? It's necessary because other countries, they're experiencing crazy inflation right now. And the funny thing is, the market that we were in about 6 months ago is a market that buyers were actually complaining about. They were really upset about that market because the prices were going up so fast, they couldn't keep up with them. And they would be standing in long lines to get into an open house to see a property. And by the time they even got their offer in, there were multiple offers, 20, 40 offers. And here, they actually had a clause, like a new form. I don't know if it's new. It was new to me. I'll put it that way. A form that I had never heard of before during the 11 or so years that I've been doing real estate, which is called an escalation clause. So people were offering some amount of money over whatever the highest asking price was without knowing what that price was. So here in my market, the increments would be something like, I'll offer $10,000 more than the best offer, $20,000 more than the best offer. And since we're talking about West Coast, I'm not a California agent, but since we're talking about West Coast, in California, people are offering 100,000 over the highest offer. So, and more. So that's the market that we were in just 6+ months ago. So buyers couldn't handle that, and they were wondering from there, if you had a buyer client, your client was wondering, well, why can't you get my offer in? Why can't you get my offer accepted? So this market that we're in now is the answer to that. The answer is, we're going to slow this down a little bit. We're going to kind of stop these inflating prices. We're going to get things back into a range that's more normal. So this is like, it's like taking medicine. it doesn't taste good, but
Right.
it's good for you, you
Yeah,
know?
necessary. So
Yeah.
you would say it's more of a recalibration, the way things are
Yeah,
going now to get things
e
more normalized?
exactly,
Gotcha.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yep.
and don't
Gotcha.
forget the math too. You have using your example, Angela, when someone offers $100,000 over the asking price,
Mhm.
at that 2%, 3% interest rate,
Oh,
you're literally talking about another $300 a month.
right.
So think about most people when they're buying a home, it might be a couple, it might be a single person. Do you really want to lose the home of your dreams over $300 a month
Mhm.
more when there's nothing else out there that piques your interest or that you like? So they had no problem saying that. And that's
Right,
where a lot of that stemmed from.
right.
Now, are you guys since uh, pre-pandemic versus post-pandemic added in the equation of the crash in 2008? Is it similar as far as foreclosures and those? Are we seeing that yet? As far as the foreclosures and people that were paying the exorbitant amount of prices for a home versus now that they're in the property now. Now they got to start paying those mortgages. Are you starting to see, as of yet, people are getting themselves in trouble now?
I haven't
Okay.
personally. I
I am
haven't seen that. Have
I'm
you?
just I'm just starting to see Angela, I'm just starting to see foreclosure properties come up as a part of the regular properties for sale. And what
Oh,
I mean
Oh,
by that is we get a listing report. Most people say like they go on Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com or whatever your MLS system is, HomeSnap, and it'll say, if I look on Main Street and it'll be 5 houses for sale on Main Street, they're all for sale from someone. And
mhm,
I'm just starting to see, one out of those houses on Main Street is a foreclosure, and
mm,
it'll like this is a bank owned property in the write up section. Normally, you're used to seeing charming 3 bedroom home, backs to
right.
a park. Now I'm starting to see, this is a bank owned property being sold as is. Bank will not make any repairs. Submit all your offers. You may not have access to that type of write up. That's what we're used to seeing with a foreclosure property. And I am just starting to see those.
Mm,
hmm. Yeah, what I saw for the past, I'll say 4 months, which was what we would call kind of a real slowdown in this market, was a lot of properties coming on that were estates. So just people who had passed away and now their family members just wanted to cash out, get the money, move on. Those are the only properties for the longest time that were coming on the market. And so now I'm starting to see a big pickup in listings here, and surprisingly pendings. I was looking through the pending properties yesterday, and I mean, this is a little bit of a trailing off, but I'll bring it back. Um, I'm on a real estate site called Real Estate Humor, and people post crazy pictures related to whatever's going on in real estate. And so I posted a picture of a listing where the listing agent used a photograph of one of the photographs in their listing for the house was a toilet that hadn't been flushed. And I thought, how crazy. Like,
wow.
usually with the photographer, they'll send you anywhere from 20 to 40 pictures. You can select which pictures you want to put in there. And the agent either didn't look at the pictures at all and just, threw them up there, or looked at all of them and said, well, whatever, it is what it is. And so I put this in the Real Estate Humor site to indicate, wow, like this is kind of crazy. So that was, I guess, 7 days ago. And one of the big jokes about it was that the property was listed at $425,000,
Mm,
and the entire property was pretty wrecked, and looked just really bad. So all the pictures were bad. That was just the most sort of disgusting one.
oh wow.
Fast forward to yesterday when I noticed this property had gone pending. So it
Ooh,
had multiple offers
Wow.
And the listing agent was telling people, look, you better get your offers in by so and such a date. I'm like, wow, okay, wait, this is starting to feel a little like last year because that's almost $500,000
Yeah.
for a wrecked property. I think it was only like 15 or 1,600 square feet. Maybe it was on like a quarter of an acre, but that I don't, I'm really, that's why it's hard to really say exactly where this market is going because most of the properties in the pending section that I was looking at um, were under 30 days. So it took them fewer than 30 days to lock in a contract.
Wow.
That was a property with the poopy toilet water, we'll call
With
it,
the
right?
right, with the toilet water.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say chances are a lot of people start sharing that photo and the link, and the word got out that, yo, take a look at this house. And someone looked at the house and was like, hey, you know what? This house ain't that bad after all. We'll just get
You
a new
know,
toilet. Put my offering.
well, if you're if you're in a higher priced market, you are saying that because if you're in California, a house like that might be $1 million. Because they don't have, they're not going to get land, they're not going to get a big yard, and the idea that they could come here and buy it for half the price, or if you're in Hawaii or San Francisco, um, New York, that's a cheap property. So
Mhm.
Wow. That's amazing how things can transpire and move from left to right. And
it's
the fact that
crazy.
the fact that it went pending is surprising to me.
In
But I
seven
guess
days,
but I guess at that point we're at the stage where people just want to snatch up and grab anything
right,
just to have something. I guess
right.
that's my guess. All right, so Marv, you mentioned buyers boycott.
Yeah, say that fast 3 times. Yes,
Yeah,
buyers. In my
buyers.
opinion, these buyers, because there are several buyers. There's the buyer who is in a rental apartment and they got to get out of there, or there's a buyer in a situation, husband going this way, the wife's going that way.
Hmm.
There's a situation where it's time to move out of the house, move out of the nest, if you will. So you got to go. And then there's the buyer that I always wanted my own place, or I want a place, but I don't have to buy. But for the people who have to buy, my job just transferred me to this state, or I have to go. They have to buy. They're out there shopping right now in our spring busy season. But a lot of the buyers, in my opinion, are boycotting our spring season right now because the interest rates are too daggone high based
Hmm.
off of what they want to pay. And they're going to wait it out. And it's a staring contest between Uncle Sam or the Fed, and the other staring contest is between the sellers who don't want to come down in price. And I strongly believe that that is what we're seeing right now, that the buyers are just waiting unless they got to get out of a situation or
Hmm.
got to get into a home for their kids to get into a housing situation for school or whatever that situation is. They got married, whatever. But people who don't have to buy, who would have bought, they're waiting right now.
Hmm. Now the buying season is more like spring, right?
Right. So what normally happens is our businesses, for those that don't know, we're cyclical. It's like working at a Macy's, around Thanksgiving, everyone starts getting gearing up for Christmas. They got to go get the gift, the holidays, Hanukkah, all the other things that roll along around that holiday time period. So that's their busy season. Well, for real estate professionals, that's usually our slow season. Some people head down to Florida when it gets, or the southern belts of the America when it gets cold up north, or you got your vacation coming for the
Hmm.
holidays. So they're not really thinking about a house. It's not until after the Super Bowl is over, I like to say, and the weather starts to break in the northern states, and you start to get your tax returns or tax refunds, and you start looking at, hey, what school are we going to put our kids in? That's when our season starts to peak, and people try and hurry up. Early bird gets the worm type scenario.
Hmm.
So right now, this is our busy season.
Which
Yeah.
seems to coincide to me. It seems to coincide with the end of the school year or beginning of the school year, or upcoming school year, and people try to make different moves to a better school system and try to balance that part all out with a good neighborhood and good school system. So I can
Mhm.
understand that.
Yeah, don't forget
So
the weather. You don't want to be outside looking for a house in 10 inches of snow with
That's
high
it.
hills.
that too, yeah, that
That's it.
too,
Yeah.
that too. So I want to ask each of you, um, as far as new home buyers, they've never owned a house before. They're coming out of renting, and they're ready to start their. They just got married. They want to start their family, and they want to buy their first home. What advice would each of you guys give in reference to or to new home buyers? What would you recommend? From I guess from the very beginning, a new home buyer comes to you. Hey, I want to buy my first property. Can
All right.
you help me out? Where do I start?
Yeah. I think that's that's such a great question. That's such an important question. Um, I would say to a new buyer or prospective buyer, talk to a lender. Speak with a lender first,
Hmm.
because typically when I hear from prospective buyers, they have not spoken to a lender at all. And what they've done is they've gone online, they've seen some houses that they like, they've spoken with their significant other, and they've decided, yeah, I think it's time. It's time to get out of this expensive apartment.
Hmm.
It's time to make the move. Let's go looking at houses. But the problem with that is that if they speak to a real estate professional first and they don't have a lender, then they really don't know what they can afford. And so they can have an idea of what they want or an idea of what they like, but they're going to spend a lot of time sort of maybe raising their expectations, and discovering later that they can't afford that home.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
She
so
don't,
speak
she
with
don't
a
go to the
lender and
mall.
find out what you can afford.
Bam. That's the key right there. I always tell people as an example. Uh, I'm at a lot of first time home buyer seminars. I do a lot of classroom with first time buyers. That they're like my favorite because that's like the give back to me. I love. I It was so much I didn't know. I don't like being like that. But I always say, look at it this way: you're going to the mall or you're going to take someone to a restaurant. You doggone well better make sure you know how much is on that credit card.
Right.
Because when you walk in here trying to shoot me Mr. Show Off or Mr. Show Off, or you ordered a cheesesteak or a burger and you should have
Uh,
ordered the salad, you need to know how much you can afford. And that is
exactly.
the
That's
lender's job.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Plus, the lender can tell you so much more than a real estate professional usually, unless if the person is like Marvin, if they've been in the business for 15, 20 years, they know about a lot of loan programs. But the fact is that the lenders, just like us, they have to get sort of recertified. They have to do continuing education.
Hmm.
Probably, I don't know what their interval is, but ours is something like every 2 years to make sure that we're on top of everything that's new, all the new regulations. The lenders have to do the same thing. So if
Hmm.
there are new programs that come on board that could help a prospective home buyer, then the lender is going to know about that. They're going to know about 3-2-1 buy downs and 2-1 buy downs and
Big.
all kinds of different loan programs, first time home buyer
Hmm.
programs. They're going to know how to explain VA loans and FHA loans and 203K loans and all these things that agents might have a little bit of an understanding about, but they might not have that in-depth understanding about whether or not that individual prospective buyer even qualifies.
Hmm.
So it's like I hate to mention a program to someone and I'm not looking at all their finances. So I don't want to mention a program to someone just to find out that there's no way that they're going to qualify for that. But a lender, it's the lender's job to ask for every single piece of financial
Right.
information that's going to help them to qualify that buyer for some sort of program. So yeah.
Yeah. Had them qualify and put them in front of the best product for them in their
Right.
situation, right?
Right.
So be it an investor who may really need a 203k loan
Yeah.
versus FHA or versus any other product. They
Right.
may best fit for a 203k, but for what they're trying to do. So
Right.
having that tailor-made package for you for the new first-time home buyers is great. And speaking to a representative, as me and Marv was talking about earlier, speaking with a professional is key. Is key
A
from the very
licensed
beginning.
professional.
Licensed professional.
Not a
That's
YouTube
different.
professional.
That
Not
is
an
different.
Instagram
A
professional. Not a
licensed professional.
Snapchat, TikTok. Back. Oh my gosh, in heaven. The information being given out that is incorrect has got to be at an all-time high. It is amazing at the things that people are saying, quoting, charging service fees for, and it is flat out wrong.
Flat
And
out wrong.
one of the reasons, and I talked to Mr. Lewis, Kevin about this, is one of the reasons that I'm on here now is to just add a little bit of clarity. No one person knows everything. You know, you're going to get some things wrong, but it is the wild, wild west. The comments that are being made that are just completely inaccurate.
And that's what I'm seeing on social media every day, all day.
Exactly.
It's incorrect information. So having the ability to speak with a licensed professional is key.
Yeah.
Getting it started correctly from the very beginning.
Yes.
Yeah. My favorite one that I hear on social media is for investors that you can buy anything that you're interested in with no money. You don't have to have any money.
No money.
And I think that there's a difference between what's possible and what is what's that?
And what's normal.
Right, what's normal and what's recommended. You know what I mean? Because like I would hesitate to go into a purchase with no money, even if it was possible. You know, I wouldn't want to somehow, you know, I think I was listening to a guy who was talking about, especially for a first time investor, like a young guy in his 20s, for example. Yeah, go and just put cash or put someone else's money, put it that way. Put if you have access to a huge line of credit on a credit card, throw a house on a credit card. That to me, I'm not saying it couldn't be done if you have whatever the card is, the black card or whatever.
I've done that.
Have you done that?
I mean, credit card. Yes, I have.
It may have worked. Did it work for you, Marvin?
It worked out phenomenally well. Yes,
it did. So maybe you should talk about that.
Yeah, it's kind of unfair. And I give you an example. It was a house that was for sale. The family didn't want 100 people running in and out of their house. And they were like, hey, give us X amount for the house. So I took 3 or 4 credit cards, maxed them out, and I got cash advances at the bank. And I went and paid cash for the property as is. And then I went to a regular bank and I say, hey, I own this property. And then I took out a regular mortgage on a house and paid the credit cards back. That was mathematically a no money down purchase because I just signed my name.
Okay.
And that was professional.
Right. But that's like Kev said, professional. Most people here no money down. You know, there's La Hood, no money down. Everybody get out. That's or you just move into an empty house and then there's go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, that's perfect. But the question is when people say that, I think the idea is you buy it with no money down, even if you have no money. So I think that's the difference. If you have no money and you're putting it on a credit card, then what's your expectation about how to pay back that credit card? You know what I mean? Right. If you have bad credit, for example, and that's the only reason. So it's not, I think the reason that you are saying that you did that was because maybe the bank wouldn't have approved that purchase the way it was situated. Right. Correct. Okay. So, but I think when a lot of people are hearing that story elsewhere on social media, they're thinking, I could be completely broke. I could have nothing, but a couple of my friends have some credit cards or I had that credit card from when I had my job, but I don't have a job now. And, but they don't know that.
Right.
And I'm just going to throw this on that credit card because I want it now. and I don't have a way to pay back the credit card. I don't have a way to get a mortgage to uh, to assume that debt. I'm just gonna get it because I can get it right this moment and worry about how I'm gonna
That
deal with
happens.
the
Well,
consequences later.
Angela, I'll use myself as an example. What you just said. There was a property I was going to buy. That property today is $400,000. When I was purchasing the property back then, when I had hair, the property was $15,000, and I didn't
Okay.
have any money. So I called a person who I knew had money and told them what I was trying to do. I'm trying to buy this property. It costs this much. The person looked at what I was showing, looked at what I was saying, and they saw the market appreciating in that area. And they was like, you know
Mm,
what? I'll give you the money and you go ahead and purchase it from the person because they know you. If I put my name on the paperwork to buy, they're going to see what I'm worth and the price will skyrocket.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
that there's multiple no money
that's
down with the purchase. Right, but it doesn't get elaborated like that on YouTube. On
no,
Right.
no,
YouTube,
no.
the property.
This is what I did.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah. Tell it,
right.
tell a whole story. Yes.
Right, right. And that's actually interesting. That's an interesting scenario. The idea that um, the person is watching an appreciating market, but still there's a potential for a trap there. Like the last 2022, that market was appreciating like crazy, and all of
Mhm.
a sudden it just stopped.
Not all of
So
a sudden. The
well,
Fed
for I
said,
guess, yeah, 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 when the Fed did that, but who was expecting that? And the
Mhm.
things that have been happening in the past 3 years, were you? In the past 3 years, I was not expecting. So, um,
yeah,
I wasn't expecting COVID, that would happen and that there would be a pandemic, and which completely turned the market on its head. Um, and I wasn't expecting home prices to accelerate the way that they did, or for people to just jump on board and say, you know what? Yeah, we'll just keep offering more and 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 more.
yeah. Here,
Um,
Angela, when they locked everybody in, and we might be getting off topic, but when they locked everybody in their home, so to speak, and everyone had what we grew up calling cabin fever, like I got to get
yeah.
out of
Mhm.
here. I'm
Yep.
keeping the show rated PG. I got to get out of here. Once they said you can go back outside, and real estate professionals, remember we were allowed to operate. All of a sudden, we weren't shut down. We were essential workers.
Essential, right.
When you saw an open house, a seller would call us and say, "Hey, I'm out, sell my house. I'm going to Florida. I'm out of here." Like Florida, they're on the beach partying hard, and we're in a house, partying hard, if you will. And it was like 100, literally 100 people outside.
Right.
And that's when to myself, I was like, yo, the prices are going to go through the roof. So one of the questions in the chat, if you guys can't see it, it says, and see how Kev, I slid you into that segue. It says, are we in a real estate bubble?
Uh-oh, I lost
In the
sound.
chat. And the reason that it's asking, are we in a real estate bubble? Because a real estate bubble kind of has a point of reference. Before the crack, before the shutdown, were we in a real estate bubble? A lot of people thought we were. Things were starting to tip downwards and slow down. And then we had the shutdown and things shot through the roof. And now
Mhm.
we're out of the shutdown. All the PPP money, EIDL money is supposedly gone.
Mhm.
That ended in what, January, February 2021 and wrap around. That's when the rates got raised in 2022. Here we are, 2023. And some of the prices in a lot of parts of the country are starting to do this. The volumes in a lot of sales volumes in a lot of parts of the country are starting to do this, taper downward. But there are still pockets where people are like, I want to live there. I love
Mhm.
that. I love that state. I love that neighborhood. How much is it? We got that. Oh, I'm buying that. How much do you want? Where do I sign? Oh, someone else put an offer in. I'm offering more than that. Is
Mm.
that still a bubble or is that supply and demand? The same way you're fighting over a roll of toilet tissue, the same way when we have a water crisis, you're fighting over bottled water. Is it a bubble or is it a supply and demand issue?
Right. Yeah, that's
Definitely,
key. That's key
definitely,
because
definitely perspective.
yeah, yeah, we don't have enough inventory here. We've had low inventory for years. That's been the driver over here. So everybody there's always someone who needs to move. There's always someone who needs to buy or sell.
Mhm.
But the sellers are far fewer than the prospective buyers. So
You ain't
that's
got nowhere to go.
yeah,
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, with that, there was a big boom here, at least here in Texas. It was a big boom. Well, still kind of is.
Yeah.
Well, the boom kind of shifted actually. For pre-pandemic, there was a lot of new construction going on, a lot of new
Ton.
single-family homes going on, a lot of construction. And then about mid-pandemic and post-pandemic, the construction shift from single-family homes to a ton of apartments
Mhm.
complexes. I mean, it's like where are these people coming from that we need all these I mean, literally, this apartment complex is built next to an apartment complex.
And you
It's
said
like,
post-pandemic is when
yes,
you're seeing that? Yeah. Yeah.
yes, like
Okay.
now,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they broke ground on one last week, and we already have just in the neighborhood that I live in, within the 10-mile radius, it's got to be 4 different apartment complexes, huge,
Ooh,
that are
ooh,
under
teacher,
construction.
pick me. Ooh, ooh, ooh. The kid in the back. Teacher, pick
And
me.
Mr. Caps.
Thank you, person. So remember, there's a couple things that's going on while you guys are driving around your neighborhoods, wherever you are watching this great show that Mr. Kevin Lewis has posted for us.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, got to give a shout out to those. Don't forget about the bigger picture. There's still a whole world that's rotating once every 24 hours, 365 days around the sun. Please don't forget about the baby boomers. Please don't forget about people who have seen their parents buy a home, lose a home, and want to have no part of that. Please don't forget about these massive institutions that have accumulated all of this wealth. Now, I know I'm going outside of a real estate broker. I'm a real estate broker by definition. If I had to swear myself in, yes, I'm a real estate broker. Way before that, I was an investor. I was a researcher. Before Google came out, I was Google. I searched everything I could find to see what we could find and what was going on, so you could know how to pivot and, direct yourself in the right direction financially. And the things that I just mentioned on the baby boomer population, retiring, how many each day? The generation that I mentioned earlier that saw the last crash and what their parents went through and are swearing they're not going to go through that. The people who have had it with the way the markets are, and I'm not overpaying $100,000 for something, I'm just going to rent. Then I threw in the institutions that have come across all this new money. And where am I going to put it? And where will it perform? Do I want to put it in Bitcoin, where I'm a millionaire today, and next week I'm not a millionaire? Do I want to put it in a stock like AMC, where it's worth $100 today and worth $5 tomorrow? Or do I want to put it in something that's tangible, that I can look, see, touch, and feel, and where everyone needs it, no matter what? And I don't like to say no matter what. There's a price point involved, but no matter what, we all have to drink, eat, live, and sleep. So you're literally picking one of the essential items in life, housing. So when you start figuring out where am I going to put my money and where can it make money, it's very difficult to beat the real estate market, no matter what's going on. If inflation's running out of control, you actually like that as a real estate investor, because it creates value on your properties, because they become more desirable, because more people are trying to figure out where can I put money to make it work. We're looking at things as we're regular workers. Kev go to work, you go to work, Angela, you go to work, whatever, Mara goes to work. Imagine this. Let's play along. You ready? I'm gonna explain this in like 120 seconds, and I'm gonna go quick, but I'm gonna use a round number. Let's pretend I'm a millionaire, and let's pretend I have $1 million in a bank. Do I put my money in a Bank of America, where it's earning 0.0 or 1% or whatever it's earning? So if I put $1 million in a bank, at the end of a year, I will have $1,010,000. Do I take my $1 million, and rather than put it in a Bank of America, do I put it under the mattress? And a year later, guess what I'll have under that mattress? $1 million. So we got Bank of America, $1 million. A year later, $1,010,000. Under my mattress, a year later, $1 million, and no extra money made. Or do I take it and put it in a 20-unit building, and I'm picking a nice, easy to see, 20-unit apartment building. It cost me $1 million to build it. Remember that $1 million I had in the bank or under my mattress? I gave it to the contractor, and he built me a building. Now this property is generating $2,000 a month per unit at 20 units. $2,000 a month times 20 minutes times 20 units. How much is that? What, $40,000 a month? Yes, it is. $40,000 a month times 12 months. Now I'm generating. I was about to do the thing they did with Ferris Bueller Days Off. Anyone? Anyone? But it's an
Almost
unfair advantage.
500,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm not
Well,
gonna do that. Right.
yeah. And
So
the only thing I would say, I would agree with that, and I'll let you finish your example. But the only thing I would say is that million that you put under the mattress, was it a million? I forget how much it was.
it was a
Million.
It's
million. Nice round
yeah,
number.
it's actually not a million because of inflation. It's worth less now.
Right. And you're correct. And see, now you're in advanced section. I was trying to keep it nice. So remember, we gave the example.
Mhm.
Do I take my $1,000,000 under the mattress, put it in Bank of America, or do I put it in this apartment complex? Now we use a round number of $2,000 a month per apartment, and we got 20 apartments. $20,000 a month. I'm sorry, $2,000 a month times 20 apartments is $4,000 times 12 months times, that comes out to $480,000. That's 48. What? Let me do it again real quick because I might be this scotch might be kicking in. $2,000 a month.
Already, huh?
Keeping it real. $2,000 a month times 20 units. That's $40,000 a month times 12 months. Yeah, $480,000 a year. So 1 year later, or as they say on YouTube, 1 year later,
Mhm.
you have $480,000 that has been generated.
Yeah.
So do you really want to put your $1,000,000 in the Bank of America, or do you really want to put it under the mattress, or do you want to park it where Kevin and Angela are seeing as they drive down the street, all these apartment complexes popping up? That's why you're seeing what you're seeing. You
Yeah.
would be not so smart, as some people would say, to do that and leave it under the mattress. Inflation or not, because now guess what? Now inflation has got everyone else scared and holding on to their dollars, their
Mhm.
greenbacks. They're putting it in real estate and they're calling us saying, hey, what can I do with my money? And that's what I see. And I follow the same method. I am brokered and broke. I have nothing to show because I follow that same approach. I would rather throw it in real estate than throw it under the mattress or in a bank.
Makes sense.
Was that 2 minutes? That was a little bit.
Makes sense. We lost count. Start doing the calculations. I lost count there.
Yeah, and I was in my head with that.
But yeah, because even when I was doing the on the commercial side, and we would go to speak with a seller, potential seller, about selling his complex, however many doors it was, and one of the questions we would ask during the conversation would be, "Why are you selling? What is your interest in selling? What's your reasoning for selling?" Just to kind of get the conversation going in a positive direction. And generally, the answer would be one of two: either I'm getting up there in age, I just want to cash out and go down Florida and just live the rest of my life out down there, or it would be I want to buy something else. I want to buy a bigger property, bigger. I want to buy more doors. I want to buy a bigger development, and that's usually has been the answers that have been given.
Mhm.
And like you were saying, Marv, the properties that increased in value, it may not look like much on the outside, but generally speaking, the value of that property has increased. So now they're seeing that well, I want to take cash out, or go ahead and buy something else.
Right. Because we're humans.
Yeah.
You the same way you get sick and tired of eating a cheeseburger every day for dinner, you want to mix it up. The human side of you gets tired of that same thing you're dealing with and you want to change up or maybe possibly do better. That's all. And you can't X that out. That's why I see a lot of, I'll call them YouTubers or professionals, and they say a lot of things like, hey, why are you doing this? Why would you buy? The X factor is this is a house, it's a home. When you come home from doing whatever you're doing, I'm home. You're willing to pay for that because
Relax.
all the money you make will mean nothing if you just keep bean counting everything, if you will. Thinking, is it? No, you really want to have something for you and your family. And when you pass on, because newsflash, you're going to die. We're all going to die.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to leave for those behind you? Do you want to leave a bunch of bills, funeral expenses, or do you want to leave them something that can generate some form of capital cash flow or
Mhm.
some form of an asset, so they don't have it as hard as you did. That's
Right.
all. Don't
Right.
overthink.
Most people will. Most people will.
You know,
Yep.
we're also seeing a little bit of a resurgence of people because of the tech layoffs, just as a West Coast thing. So you might see some more buyers over on your side, Marvin, and even Kevin over there in Texas, because you can get so much more for your money. And so here we're going to probably see a lot more sellers. There you're going to probably see even more buyers than what you've been seeing.
You know, on that note, Angela, and I don't know if I ever talked about it, and I don't think we talked about it, Kev, but I have been getting and receiving and hearing that there are, like today, hey guys, Saturday we're going to have a Zoom call, or we're going to have a stream call. Let's all link up. And your boss literally calls or emails you and say, hey, be on a call. And you wake up like, okay, here we go. We got a new product coming. There's a new thing coming, new promotion coming, new advertisement. Yeah. You're being let go from your job. That's what the call is about. The other part is your job. If in fact you are as good as you think you are, because it might not matter. They're literally telling you, we know we told you 3 years ago, live anywhere you want to live, but we're going to need you back into our corporate office, and we're going to need you in there Tuesday. Now, today's Saturday. This is a live podcast. This is Saturday. We need you in the office Tuesday. And you're like, but I bought the house. You know, you guys said that, yeah, but this is what we need. And if you can make it here, we need you here. If you can't make it, you're going to have to make some sort of arrangement, but we need you here.
Yeah.
So imagine some of these big companies, small companies, you're paying all of this money for your commercial office space. You're paying rents, you're paying air conditioning, heating, server bills, internet, whatever, and no one's there. You start looking at it like, I'm in here working as the boss. The workers are not here, and they're getting paid the same amount of money, irregardless of production. The human element kicks in, and it's like, you're getting over on me. And guess what? Be here or you're out of here. And you're seeing a lot of companies do that. And a lot of the Twitter, Google, Apple, you're seeing a lot of them say, hey, well, Apple didn't lay people off. I'll give them credit on that to my knowledge. But a lot of these companies that are very, very profitable, I mean, like very profitable, still cutting people loose.
Right. Yeah. And that's definitely what's happening. And it's kind of scary. That thing that you talked about with the remote work, where people are no longer being able to do remote work, that is a big pet peeve of mine, because I've felt like for probably the past 15, 20 years, most jobs could have been done from home. Realtors have been doing this job from home, even when you have an office that you can go to. Most of us have like a central office that we can go to use the technology and everything. But now everybody has a computer. Everybody has at least one cell phone. Everybody, their kids have cell phones. So we could do these conferences like we're doing right now. Why in the world would a huge corporation require its people to show up just so that someone else can stand over their shoulder and, you know, see if they're doing their job? Because the thing is, if you've ever worked in corporate America, you know that there are always people who are just surfing the net the whole time. There are always people who are just, you know, jib-jabbing the whole time, and they're not doing any work. Those same people are going to do the same thing at home. The people who are working, who have their heads down the whole time, focused on work at work, they're going to be the same people who are going to be doing that at home. So that's just a little pet peeve. Also, just want to throw in here, I'm looking across the bottom at the caption for my email address, and it's actually angelabailey.luxuryhomes@yahoo.com. On there, it just says Bailey.
Okay.
Put it in the chat so we get it right.
Yeah, I'm trying to see how to put it in the chat. Let's see.
And
Upper right-hand corner, comments.
My laptop's blocking it. Whoops. Let's see. Nope.
It's not Angela.Bailey, it's Angela Bailey.
It's Angela Bailey
Luxury
Homes
Gotcha.
at yahoo.com.
Just kind of
And
pivot here so I can see.
that should be there correctly.
Uh-oh. I lost you. What was that? Let's see. Oh, there we go. Kev, that's why I didn't get your link earlier.
Oh, wow.
Oh, how about
What
that?
happened? Yeah, exactly. Right. Because
There's someone out there wondering, how to get on the chat or how to get on the site.
I think it might have got cut off on the text. The Angela, your first name on it. Oh,
Yeah.
it has Angela, but the link just has Bailey.luxuryhomes underneath Angela. But
Okay.
we
And
got
I'm
it.
actually going to give everybody a slightly different one because that first one, angelabailey.luxuryhomes@yahoo.com, I've given that out to so many places that it's almost like a spam email now. So I'm going to give you angelabailey.luxuryhomes@gmail.com.
Isn't spam beautiful?
All right.
So what do you guys? I want to give you guys each an opportunity to give the listeners and viewers some insight as to how they should start their journey with real estate. As someone who's selling the current property, take whichever avenue you want, or those that are first time home buyers looking for an agent. Because I have a barber that's when I was talking about the show coming up, and him and his wife, they just got married, and it was like, oh, well, can you help us? Can you help us buy a property? I said, absolutely, I can do that. But what I found is I'm not in it as long as you guys have, obviously, but I've had clients that I had to quote unquote let go because they weren't following the game plan to get them to the finish line.
Happens.
And it was exhausting to a point to where, okay, I've shown you we had the checklist as far as all the properties, what you want in a property. What's your dream property? Bullet points. Checked all the bullet points on at least 5 of the properties. What are we doing? Well, I want to see. I want to see another one.
Every real estate agent has so many stories they could tell you about what you're describing right now. Probably, like millions. Because one of the things I think very few people know about real estate is that it's a lot more than just the closed deals.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually the running around. It's usually the showing a lot of properties and either the people just sort of run out of steam, or maybe they were never really serious. Maybe they're just, sometimes people like to look at houses. They're not really, they don't realize they could just go to open houses. So if you're paying attention to me right now, if you want to see houses, but you're not really interested in buying, and you don't think you're interested in buying for another 5-10 years, you can just go to an open house and tour the house.
For free.
Yeah, for free. It doesn't cost you anything. There's going to be snacks and all that.
But I want you to take me so you can answer my questions.
Right. But that's a serious person though. A person who's got questions is a serious person. That's the person who I want to talk to. But yeah, I mean, that scenario you just described is so common, but you never know where it's going. You never know where it's going to end, because I can't even count the number of people who, especially in Chicago, who I toured with them, maybe showed them 10, 12 houses in a weekend. Some who I showed, over 100 houses over the course of 3 years. And I had one lady who would call me every week. She wanted to see properties. And whenever we would go see properties, number one, she had a person who she brought with her, a child who she brought with her, would just tear through all the houses. And it's just like, oh my gosh, like I got to keep track of this person, make sure they don't tear up somebody's house.
Right.
And it turns out that this person really just wanted to tour houses with multiple agents because she was going to be putting out a book in a year. And she was trying to make contacts so that she could let everybody know, hey, I got my book out. And that was her whole reason for touring properties. Every time, if there was a seller at the house, which it was a more common scenario, she would always introduce herself and say, oh, I think I know someone, someone who blah, blah, blah. So that was her whole deal. That woman called me every weekend for probably 2 years to tour houses. On the flip side, I had a couple. They were from another country, from another continent. And I toured houses with them for 3 years. And I always knew that they had the ability to purchase. Always knew that. Because they were like high profile clients. But they just wanted what they wanted. So they toured. If it wasn't exactly what they wanted, they didn't buy. And ultimately, they bought a house. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is great. If you talk about man hours, I don't want to try to do the calculation as to how much I was making per hour. But at that time, for me, it was okay because it was when I was learning in the business. I was growing in the business, and every client for me was an experience. So, but yeah, you don't know which way that's going to go with a given person. So,
Mark, what you got?
I was listening.
Yeah, man, I was listening intently.
Yeah, hey man, I talk too much and I gotta learn when to shut up. So I shut up.
All right, so I wanted to turn the corner just a little bit on it because I know there are a lot of agents out there, a lot of new agents that are out there that are kind of feeling like they're in the deep end of the pool. They can't feel the bottom. What advice of encouragement, and I emphasize the words encouragement, would you give to newer agents that are getting in, that are making contacts, they're doing open houses, they're out there reaching and touching the people? What advice would you give them to kind of motivate them and keep them engaged
and increase their business? I would imagine is what you really want to know.
Yes.
So you can go about it a couple ways. A lot of the agents I notice, I like to call them Amazon babies. They want stuff right now. You want to pick up the phone, click it, and it is literally there the next day. And if you don't like it, you send it back and get your money back. With real estate, it is really real estate for some odd reason is usually the slow game for your average realtor or real estate agent. And the slow game meaning like you start building up your clientele over time and they started following. But a lot of agents that are coming into real estate, they don't want that. They want to sell $1 million house right now, right away. And what I would say is the quickest way to success is to link yourself with an already proven real estate professional in your office. So you got two different agents. One is already working at an office somewhere. They're working for some company, private or big, like a big mom and pop or a big corporate company that's worldwide, if you will. You want to get with the top producing agent or agents or group in your company if you want to stay there and learn what they're doing by being an assistant, by hosting their open houses, like you just mentioned, and by asking them, hey, I can ride around with you. I can drive while you're talking on the phone to the clients. Hey, I can write your contracts up for you. So when you have, your client says, I want to buy this house, I can do all the legwork. And you're learning how they move and how they stay in contact with their clients and how they have a business flow about them and how they pick up new clients. A lot of agents need to be out and about. They need to make sure they're at a lot of the networking events regarding with lenders, because lenders will get a call from someone who wants a mortgage to buy a house and they'll say, do you have a realtor? Or who's your real estate agent you normally use? You want to be a part of that circle. A lot of the agents need to learn their market. So the same way you guys hear me and Angela and Kevin talking, and it sounds like we know what we're talking about, and you entrust us to represent you, you want to make sure if you're that person that when they call and ask you something, hey, what's going on in the Dallas market? Hey, what's going on in New York's market? Hey, what's going on in Seattle's market? You can actually answer that. And you don't have to, I have to, you can literally say the prices have been going up 10%, or we're on a decline, or there's not enough market activity when the opportunity presents itself. Because a lot of people like to say, oh, you were lucky. That old saying, like, you know, luck is really being prepared for your opportunity and acting upon it. So when you are new or you're established and you're trying to increase your business, don't be ashamed of hitching your trailer or your horse to a winning team. Like if Kevin plays football and he's playing for the Eagles and Eagles just got into the playoffs, I should have no pride or shame in saying, hey, Kev, do y'all got any openings? Yeah, man, we need a kick receiver. We need a guy that's going to tackle. We need a guy. That way I'm a part of that team and I see how the success is being made and I can become a part of it. I shouldn't suck my thumb and be upset and sit in a corner and go, I don't know what I'm going to do now. You need to get out there, aka get in the game. The other way is to pay for it. How do you pay for it? From some of these lead generation sites that charge you $2-3 grand a month. Some of them do not work. I would argue most of them don't work because what you're unaware of is the same way, and we'll call it Company A. Company A marketing, you'll get all the leads. Leads are, for those that don't know, when you're on a website looking for properties and you click one and say, hey, I'm interested in this house, the computer sends you to a licensed real estate professional in that area, or it's supposed to. What normally happens is it sends your click that of the house you're interested in to whatever real estate agent, brokerage, or company has paid the highest price to be a part of that circulation or that pool to send you to them so that they can call you and say, hey, Jane Doe, you want to see the house on 123 Main Street? I'll send an agent right over, or I'll meet you there myself. I can be there in an hour. Are you available right now? That is like we like to call the cheat way, where you pay to get in front of the line like Disney World. Rather than stand in line and wait your turn, you pay that fee up front and they walk you right to the front. And everyone else is going, how'd they get up front? That happens a lot in real estate. Little untold truth. There you have it.
Yeah. On the first note that Marvin made in answer to your question about what you would say to new agents, I absolutely agree with his point about just being prepared. Just this is a good time actually to just really educate yourself, really understand what you're doing, understand the contracts, understand the inventory that's available, understand the pricing, not just what's come on the market, but how long, like we were talking about earlier, how long does it take certain properties to go pending? Which properties have expired? Are those expired properties an opportunity for you to find a client? But it's just educating yourself about the business. Watch everything that you can on YouTube and on Google about, research on Google to find out every little speck of information you can about the business, because it's like a break. If there's nothing going on in your market right now and you're feeling discouraged, this is a great opportunity to get to know what you're doing,
I agree.
And on the second point that Marvin made about getting leads, that really is something that I've been wanting consumers to know about, actually, because a lot of times when people are getting leads, when real estate agents are getting leads through the process that Marvin just described, they're out at dinner, or they're with a client, or they're doing something, and they get a message on their phone that says, Melissa Lee is looking at 8015 Main Street and she's interested in purchasing, and call her back right away. Call the person. A lot of times the consumer has no idea that they're being routed to an agent. They think the agent is just out of nowhere contacting them. And so there's a disconnect there that I think those big companies need to bridge to help consumers to understand that an agent is in the middle of doing something and is all of a sudden seeing, okay, this person needs me to contact them for information about a home. That's how that's really working. So, yeah.
Well, good insight. I didn't think about it like that, but that's good insight. And I'm sure a lot of viewers didn't know that as well. So now that they are informed now how that works. Well, Marvin and Angela, I think this was a great show, in my opinion. Very informative. I appreciate you guys both coming on.
Thanks for
And
having us.
absolutely. Go ahead, Marv.
I say thanks for having us.
Yeah, because I think it's important to give accurate information and have a place for accurate information to be given. And I think people will benefit from this. So, is there anything in closing you guys want to put out there before we end the show today?
Do you have anything, Marvin?
Oh, I've always got something to say. You know, I like to say that don't forget, real estate is the long play. You can take the short play, you know, buy a house, fix it up, sell it, flip it as it's known. But on the whole, real estate is the long play. I want you to think about the next decade plus of home ownership, and does that benefit you? If you want to move to Florida and you're sick and tired of hearing about how the taxes are going up and the property insurance is going up and the homeowner's insurance is going up, flood insurance, remember, you're not taking anything with you. If you want to live and be near the beach for you and your family, then go right on ahead and do that. If you don't want to overpay for something, you want to wait it out, okay, wait it out. But that's up to you. That's a personal choice. And don't let a YouTuber or Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, whatever, tell you otherwise. Mm-hmm. And that goes the same thing for being a renter. If you would rather rent and wait it out, by all means do that. You know, don't take the advice of me or anyone else. You have to do what's best for you, period.
And everybody's situation is different. Right? Correct.
Mm-hmm. Right.
How about you, Angela?
I'm gonna break it out into different groups. So my message to buyers or prospective buyers is to find out what you need to do now in case all of a sudden a good opportunity presents itself. Like, the Fed funds rate drops, and then let's say mortgage rates drop all of a sudden, and maybe they drop by like, a half a point or 3/4 of a point. And now everybody's rushing. Now you're back in that same thing with other people, like competing. It would be better if you right now anticipate something good happening in the market and go and speak with a lender and find out how much money you need to have for your down payment, for your proof of funds, for your security deposit, whatever you have, and find out what that amount is. Find out if they're going to require reserves for you for 3 or 6 months over and above the amount of your down payment. Find out what that lender is going to require of you. Don't make any huge purchases at the last minute. If you're thinking you're going to buy a house in the next 6 to 12 months, just follow that list that the lender is going to give you of things that you should and shouldn't do. That's my message for buyers. Just be prepared for a positive outcome in the market. For prospective sellers, I would say do the same thing. Prepare your house for sale, because other people right now, you don't realize it. There are other people right now, they're cleaning out their garages. They're getting their landscaping done. Mm-hmm. They're power washing the front of their houses. They're getting a whole house inspection or whole house cleaning done. They're contracting with stagers. They're speaking to their real estate professionals. They're getting themselves ready to sell. So that's what you should be doing too if you're thinking you might be interested in selling, because this current market is going to change. It's going to change one way or another. And if it changes for the better, you want to be prepared for that. So that's buyers and sellers. Investors, I would say talk to Marvin, because I'm much more conservative about the investor group and what people are interested in doing there. I had someone call me about an investment opportunity about 6 months back, and it was just too, for me, it was like a kind of a risky play that he was interested in. So if you're a buyer or seller, give me a call. If you're an investor, give Marvin a call. I'll take all the buyers and sellers, Marvin.
Thank you.
You take all the investors. But then to you guys, Marvin and Kevin, I would just say thanks so much. I hope that we can do something like this again in the future. I think it would be great.
Absolutely.
And yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know with everyone's schedule and everyone's in different time zones, and we made it happen today. So absolutely, whenever you guys want to do it again, we could absolutely do it again.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
were
maybe we can do it on your platform next, Angela, or Marvin's platform next, and then just have it given great information. I guess that's the bottom line.
Yeah. Hey, I want to throw one last thing in.
Sure.
Just about pricing here, because a lot of people don't really know. Seattle is a really still high-priced market, and the median sales price for a really modest single-family home here in Seattle is $567,000. And when I say modest, I mean really, really modest. You're looking at either a much older home, which is a fixer-upper, or you're looking at an entry-level home, a first-time buyer home with a few bedrooms, few baths. You're looking at probably no or little land. And if you're looking for any kind of so that's the average. So average is in the middle. Okay. So on those spectrums at the lower end, you'd be hard pressed to find something that's 300,000 or less. If you find something that's that price, you're talking about a studio-sized condominium, or you're talking about a manufactured home, which is what we used to call mobile home. Mm-hmm. So that's what you're getting at that 300 and below level. Or sometimes in 55 years of age and older communities, you'll find some lower priced properties like that. But you're not going to find much else. So you just want to, if you're thinking about moving to Seattle, I would definitely advise only doing it if you have a significant amount of savings or you have a really well-paying job.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Because that's to your point. I remember when I moved from Philly to my first, it was from Philly to Jersey, and then from Jersey to Atlanta, and what was available for the price from up north to Atlanta was so different. It was so much more property, so much more house. And it's even, I guess it's about the same here in Texas. Coming from Atlanta to Texas, you get so much more, what seems like so much more for your money. You get a little bit more land around your house, get more of house for a similar cost in money. That may change, obviously. It may change. But I found that fascinating. That even when we went to Anaheim, California, for a couple of weeks, and put my real estate mind on, and okay, well, what is this house here? What is this house? So looking up addresses, and like you mentioned, this little house, modest home, we had drove past the modest, what we call the modest home. It might have been 1 or 2 bedrooms, right? So we drove past. I jotted down the address. I Googled it real quick and found out what it was. That house was about $500,000, and it looked like it wasn't $500,000. That's what it looked like. So it's just crazy how we go to different places, different parts of the world, even just here in the States, how differ the prices can be as far as what you'll get for your money.
Right, right.
But I'm glad to have you guys on.
Yeah.
Glad to be-
I've learned.
So glad to be here. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome,
Thanks,
Angela. I'm
Marvin.
glad. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you both for
Yes,
coming.
okay.
And hopefully we
Yes.
can do it again and give some more great information out.
Yeah,
See you
that'd
next
be
month.
awesome.
All right, guys. Have a
All
good day.
right. Thanks. See ya.
See ya.